Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well. Finally, the Ukrainians come out and tell us that the Patriot systems are a piece of shit. Why? They do not work against the Russian ballistic missiles. That is the Iskander in this case. I'm gonna show you what they say about the American air defense systems. It's not the Russians, it's the Ukrainians. And this is according to Financial Times, by the way. It's reported by Financial Times. Second topic. European Union leaders want to go to war with Russia. Well, I'm going to discuss this claim made by Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and we're going to figure out to what extent. I don't think they want to go to war with Russia, because if you go to war with Russia, it's going to be a nuclear war. Or they want a controlled conventional war, where the profiteers can make more profits. Which one is it? Next topic, of course, the United States of America will provide the guys in Ukraine with long-range missiles. And that is not only with Tomahawks, they're going to provide them with another one, and that is the Barracuda missiles, able to hit about 500 miles away. That's 804 kilometers. That's way in the range of hitting Moscow. The Americans agreed to provide the Ukrainians with intelligence for long-range strikes. With what kind of missiles? The Ukrainian missiles? Well, if the Ukrainians had the missiles to strike Moscow, the Americans, I guarantee you, helped them, or not only the Americans, the Brits more than the Americans, helped them pick targets. So right now the American says, yeah, you can hit Moscow, basically, and St. Petersburg. We're going to discuss that, and we're going to look over the map. Next article, or next topic that I'm going to discuss is the European Union, NATO, the Americans are harassing the Russians in the Baltic Sea. I will show you on the map where that is and what they're trying to do. They want to consider the Baltic Sea as it is right now, Marea Nostri, our sea, which is we're surrounded, we block you, we allow you to use it whenever we feel like. They want to transform it, the Black Sea, in the same Marea Nostri. Marea Nostri is the Roman concept of Mediterranean Sea, when they surrounded it with their empire, and it belonged to them. So they said, this is our little lake, it belongs to us. So here you have these guys harassing Russian tankers from the so-called Shadow Fleet. Now, Shadow Fleet is any tanker these guys in the West do not like. If tomorrow they don't like a Chinese ship, they will say this is Russia's Shadow Fleet. And that's it. The Americans send a vessel over there to also patrol the Baltic Sea. Why? Because they can. It's a U.S. Navy ship joins NATO's Baltic Sea patrol mission. While the French arrest two crew members of a Russian Shadow Fleet, some off the coast of France. So they stop it, or at least they go and board it with the military. They call it a Navy personnel or something like this, naval personnel, military with weapons. They go and jump on that ship and they arrest those guys. Why? Because they claim, they suspect they were the ones guilty of using drones over Denmark. Remember, Zelensky told them that. Zelensky told them yesterday, I think, I covered that in one of my videos, said, that's a tanker over there, and that tanker might be linked to the drones that were launched over Denmark, could be the same kind of one. And these guys just boarded it over there. This is piracy? What is this? Now, Zelensky, do you think Zelensky has this kind of information? Or the Americans told Zelensky, now you gotta tell everybody else, so it's not us. All right, we're going to discuss that as well. So let's start with the first article. And the first topic, Russia Today. This is from October 2nd, 2025. Ukraine's Patriots can't tackle Russian missiles. according to Financial Times. So, increased maneuverability has become a game changer, sources have told the paper. So, the sources are the Ukrainian military telling the Financial Times. The Russian military has modified its missiles to better evade Ukrainian air defenses. Ukrainian, okay. Including US-made Patriot systems, often seen as a key linchpin on Kiev's shield, the Financial Times reported on Thursday, citing officials in Kiev and the West. According to the officials interviewed by Financial Times, Russian missiles can now follow a normal arc before veering into a steep terminal dive or executing maneuvers that, quote-unquote, confuse and avoid Patriot interceptors. The outlet cited recent strikes against Ukrainian drone facilities as a strong indication that Russia has likely upgraded the Iskander-M mobile system and their air-launched Kinzhal. Well, Kinzhals are hypersonic, what do you want? And Iskander-M and Iskander-K. I think they can destroy the Iskander-K, but not the M, or vice versa. One of these guys, they claim it's too fast for them. So, what they say, one former Ukrainian official called the added maneuverability a game changer for Russia. Right? He says that the US Patriot interceptors, essentially the only weapon in Ukraine's arsenal capable of tackling Moscow's ballistic missiles, are not coming as quickly as planned. And here is what's important. The paper also noted that data released by the Ukrainian Air Force shows that the rate of interception of Russian ballistic missiles improved, they say, over the summer, reaching 37% in August, but then fell to just 6% in September. All right, so send more. It's just, this is a testing ground. This is a polygon for weapons. The big arms manufacturing companies, they're testing their weapons in a direct confrontation. They test their airplanes, they test their missiles, their air defense systems. All these things are just a game for those guys at the expense of people's lives. So, send more. I remember when it was the first time when Saddam Hussein launched some missiles over Scud missiles, were there? Whatever they were, the Soviet missiles over Israel in 1991 or something. And Israel used Patriot systems at that time, and I think their the ability to counter those and intercept them was about 12% or something. But this is done for the feeble-minded people's, how do you call that, brains to think, to feel protected. Weak people who cannot function alone through their own forces, they always need a mommy or a daddy or something that protects them, helps them, and all that. In this case, it's the Patriot systems. Oh my God, we have Patriot systems, we're safe. You're not. It's just a mirage, giving you the illusion you are. Yeah, about 6% or whatever this guy said in September. In September, I covered many Russian attacks on Kiev, and not only, and they gave a very high rate of the ability of these air defense systems to destroy the Russian missiles. And I said these guys are lying through their teeth with their open mouth, actually, like that. So, next topic. Let's see how this war could be. European leaders want to go to war with Russia, Orban. Well, we know that. We all know that. The problem is this guy comes and says it out in the open. Out in the open. Hungary will continue to oppose bellicose proposal pushed by Ukraine supporters, the Prime Minister has pledged. And I'm quoting, they want to hand over European Union funds to Ukraine. They are trying to accelerate Ukraine's accession with all kinds of legal tricks. They want to finance arms deliveries. All these proposals clearly show that the Brusselians want to go to war, he said. Well, I don't think that is a secret anymore. But to what extent? I mean, definitely, if they go all war, as you say in Ukraine, the Russians went all war. No, the Russians did not go all war on Ukraine. The Russians maybe have about 600,000 troops, 800,000 troops at the maximum. That's all. From a potential of 30 million. If they get a general mobilization and go "Ura" on Ukraine, they will get about 30 million people with weapons and going to fight over there. But that's why it's not all war. Besides, the Russians did not use nuclear weapons yet. So that's not all war. They did not use Oreshnik. They don't have them yet enough. They used that one just for an example. Supposedly, it didn't have a warhead and no to explosives when they did it. Nevertheless, the point is this. That's not all war. This is a controlled war. And the imbeciles in West think that they will make some profits. The guys in charge of the political class, which is the interest, financial, military, and military-industrial complex, which is companies, not generals. Generals are just baboons over there. All right, that's basically what they are. And then you have some of them with political ambitions. And then you have the energy industry, oil, gas, coal, these guys. These are the big profiteers. They are okay as long as they make a profit. As long as there's a war, they make profits. If there's not a war, they have to create a war. How? With their politicians and the intelligence services, who works also for these guys, I suspect. And the military obviously is right there. So when this guy says the European Union wants to go to war, they don't want to go to a war. No. They want to keep a fire over there for the profiteers to make profits, more profits. Now, these guys with the profits is like with everything that you start abusing. Let's say you use drugs. You use today, let's say, a little dose. Tomorrow, after a while, that's the dose. After a while, you need an increased dose because that dose would not do it anymore. So you increase it and you go for a while with that and you stay high and so on. And then that wanes away. Your body gets used to that. So you need more, you add more until you collapse and you get an overdose and you die. Or you go to ER and if you are lucky, you escape. I don't know. Nevertheless, so these guys are expanding their profits with a war, a little war. A few strikes here, a few strikes. Now they expanded it to a continuous war, small continuous war. Why small? Could be much bigger. Small continuous war in Ukraine. That's another dose. They increased the dose, okay? Now the next one could be a little controlled war with Europe. They definitely increased that dosage. And then what? They're going to go to an overdose, which is probably the Russians crack and they will nuke the fuck out of these guys. And these guys will do the same thing. And then what? The Americans will be safe? I don't know. So these guys think they're going to control it just as profits keep going and increasing. But they will overdose at one point, I suspect. Why? Greed. You can't, if you're a greedy person, once it works, you want more, and you want more, and you want more. But sometimes when you want more, you lean too much over the edge, and you start falling. And you go, whoa, you can't grab anything back. You're going down. That's with being greedy and many other abuses. That's why some people don't try even starting the pleasure of that kind of abuse, because they know it ends badly. All right, let's move on. Next one. This is an example, again, of as I consider it, mountain slope model, or the popping the cherry model, which is you start slowly. The decision has been made. We're going to fuck real hard, all right? So then you do that. But in order to get it, you can't just do it because you have to cut slowly from nothing to go. Slowly, you don't want to cause a hemorrhage or anything, like in this case, a little revolution in your country. Therefore, you start to prepare the public, you foreplay and so on. The same here, you foreplay the population. And you give them, give me an example with any weapon the Americans sent to Ukraine. Follow the same model. Let's say the tanks. The first thing was, we will not send tanks to Ukraine. Where are the tanks now? In Ukraine. We will not send an F-16s. Where are F-16s? In Ukraine. We will not send Patriot system. All these things they said we will not, and they ended up doing it the same way, little by little. So now they tell us, they got to the point where they say, well, we're going to allow the Ukrainians, we're going to share information for the Ukrainians' long-range strikes on Ukraine, on Russian, on military facilities, okay, and infrastructure related to the war machine. Do you think that's what it is? They got this point. What do you think they will use? What kind of missiles this guy's going to use? Bows and arrows? or I don't know, spears. No, they're going to use weapons that can be used by those guys. Who are those guys? The guys who want to destroy Russia through other people's means. They use the Ukrainians. So let me show you. US to provide Ukraine with intelligence for strikes deep into Russia, reports. So this is the mountain slope. It's the 23rd hour of the 24th. The next one is, we're going to give you everything, which is we will do it. It's not going to be the Ukrainian using the Tomahawks or Barracuda. You'll see. US President Donald Trump has allowed intelligence agencies and the Pentagon to provide Ukraine with intelligence for strikes deep into Russia against energy infrastructure facilities, the Wall Street Journal newspaper reported, citing US officials. So he goes for the economic. This guy wants some people to make big profits. That's it. He's for economics. If this thing works, ends, those people who made a ton of money will not make here, will make somewhere else. Washington is also asking NATO countries to provide similar support, the report said on Wednesday. In addition, this is important, the United States is considering, again, we're thinking about having a fuck, basically, supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk and Barracuda missiles, as well as other missiles with a range of about 500 miles, 804 kilometers, the report added. What do you think? Russia has said that arms supplies to Ukraine hinder the conflict settlement directly involving NATO countries in it. So, what are they going to do about it? Talk? Fuck off then. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that any cargo containing weapons for Ukraine would be a legitimate target for Russia. Good job. So that means that guy that you fight will get some deadly weapons that can strike you and your family from that neighbor, and all you say is, I'm going to destroy the shipments, you send them over there. How about go to the origin, to the guy? Oh, you mean attacking the United States of America? They won't do it. Why not? Why not? The same here. You have a water hose or pipe in your house and it's just leaking. Or let's say the water comes. What do? I tell you what a normal person does. Goes downstairs or upstairs or wherever it has a little faucet and turns it off. Click, click, click. And no more water coming from the well or coming from the city, whatever supplies you have. And that's it. And then you repair the garbage pipe. Isn't that the normal way you do it? Or you can do what Lavrov said. We're going to let the water flow and we're going to use squeegees. We're going to use some towels. We're going to use some buckets, soak them. That's what Lavrov said. We're going to just take care of the water that comes in by eliminating it. Is that what you want to do? I mean, how logical that is. And why would you say you pick that one? You pick it just because why? You cannot challenge those guys. You can't go downstairs and close the faucet or whatever it is, the outlet, whatever it's called. So it's imbecilic. Now let me show you a little bit over the map. What would this mean? Right there, this is the map of Europe. This is Moscow. This is Ukraine. I'm going to use another map as well. So from here to here with love, correct? Now you don't see here on the right side, because even if I do it this way, you can see the right here. It's 10 miles. It's my cursor. So my cursor's width has 100 miles. I'm sorry, 100 miles. So this is the border right here. 100, 200, 300. It's about 300 miles. It's about 500 kilometers. So I think 500 kilometers is not 800 kilometers. Therefore, when you have here 500 miles, is way within. Let me close that window a little bit. There you go. Is way within the range. Or let's go right here, Ukraine, and you get Moscow exactly here. From here to here is about 500 kilometers. You add to 800, it means you can launch them from Kiev, basically. You can go from Kiev with love or this area, Tsupikapa, Makalaka, you hit Moscow if you want. Can you hit St. Petersburg? I don't think so, but let me go on the other map and see if they can hit it. I think they can from here with love, St. Petersburg. Maybe they can reach that one from here. I'm not certain. Let's see. 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's within reach. And this is a direct war between Russia and NATO, United States of America. And again, this is a controlled war. That's what they hope. That's what they hope. All right, so let's go to the next article right here. Ukraine from the Ukrainians. US to provide Ukraine with intelligence for missile strikes deep inside Russia. Wall Street Journal reports. And this is how they tell you, I think, in the second paragraph. So the United States will supply Ukraine with intelligence to support long-range missile strikes against Russia's energy infrastructure. The US will provide Ukraine with intelligence for long-range strikes on Russia's energy infrastructure, as American officials said. And the Trump administration weighs sending Kiev powerful weapons that could put in range more targets within Russia. What does that tell you? They will do it. The decision has been made years back. This is not something that Trump thinks now, should we do it? The decision, that's a plan already in place. It was over there a folder. When the Ukraine war starts, the Russians invade, we take that little folder, put it on the table, and look and say, okay, okay, what do we have over there? What do we have over here? And you a little bit tweak it according to the current situation. But the main Barbarossa plan is there again. All right, it's just the details. They will send it and they will do it. It's not going to be the Ukrainians using those. It's going to be the American personnel. I guarantee you that. Next one. Let's see how the French try to provoke the Russians. The Russians provoked them first. All right, here it is. Ukrainska Pravda. And they're talking about Shadow Fleet and the Russian access to St. Petersburg. That's the point, you'll see. French naval personnel, military, that is people with weapons. It's not like people with, what do you see over there? What do you see? They are masks. They are masks. What do you think those guys are doing? Just personnel, like, I don't know, a lady of the night or something? Board Russian Shadow Fleet tanker. Why is it Shadow Fleet? Because they said so. Off their coast. So it's off their coast. Is it international waters, do you think? French naval personnel have boarded the Russian-linked tanker Boracay, anchored off France's west coast and currently under investigation by French authorities. Remember, anchored off France's western coast, not in international waters. It doesn't say anything about that, and it's currently under investigation. So they just go and piracy. Remember, the Russians can do the same thing to Western cargoes. Next one. France detains 2 crew members of Russian-linked Shadow Fleet tanker. When they give you this characterization, you have no way, you and I do not have any way to verify if this Russian tanker or linked Shadow Fleet is really what they say it is. They just say it, and that's it. You just take it. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu, a baboon, has confirmed that French authorities detained 2 crew members of the tanker Boracay, which is considered part of Russia's Shadow Fleet. Lecornu said the 2 crew members were taken into custody by the decision of the Brest prosecutor's office and described the vessel as a tanker belonging to Russians. Okay, so they say tomorrow, you are part of the Russians' Shadow Fleet. They come and they jump you and they get you to the section and they do want to talk to you. How about that one? What will you do? You will deny it. So, but you're going to be in jail. And everybody in the neighborhood will know that the police came and picked you up because you're part of the Russian Shadow Fleet. That's how the way it works. Exactly like that. Next. Russian tankers detained in France linked to drones over Denmark. You see, when they say this is a statement, this is a statement of fact. It's not could, might, may, no. Russian tanker detained. That's a statement clear. In France, the location, linked, it not could, allegedly, no, it's linked to drones over Denmark. So they already know that. But if you read right here, it says this way. The Boracay, the Shadow Fleet oil tanker detained by French authorities days ago, and this is the important thing, is suspected. I think you're suspected of going and having sex with a neighbor's wife. You're suspected. Doesn't mean you do it. But the title is, what the title says, linked to drones over Denmark. Why? Because Zelensky said so. And you should always believe a big liar. All right, so remember, that's what it is. And let's see what this tanker is flagged under. Previously named Pushpa and Kiwala and flying in Benin flag. The vessel operated in Danish waters from September 22 to September. Okay, that's not a crime. During that period, unknown drones were reportedly spotted over Denmark's military facilities. So where the connection between that, I mean, I don't know how to start. Was that the only vessel in a Danish area at that time? Of course not. Of course not. There were daily vessels pass through. I'm going to show you where, and I'm guaranteeing you there's a lot of vessels in that area as of now. But only this one was the one operating. All of them were operating. Let me show you. Let me show you a little map. Right here. Go back to Europe. Right here. This is Denmark here. So this is Denmark where the drones operated. In this area right here, you see how many things you see. In order to get, this is the Baltic Sea. We're going to talk about it in a second. This is the Baltic Sea. In order to go to Baltic Sea, in order to go to Lithuania, to Poland, to Latvia, to Estonia, to St. Petersburg, to Finland, to Stockholm if you want. In order to go this way in these areas or even further down here, you have to go through by Denmark. Do you know how big the traffic is here? And then you go right here. This is the only, right there. This is it. Do you know how many vessels pass through that? Can you imagine how many? I mean, I guarantee if I go deeper here, I can see like 5 of them in 3 seconds or maybe not. These are just, they show you the direction where the tankers should come. It's, you know, I didn't see any yet, but it should be. Let me just, they didn't go deeper than that. They keep only this area here. So how many vessels go through this little bridge right here, man? It's daily. And they tell me that, oh, it's only the Russian vessel that was around this area. There are hundreds daily. I'm guessing all the transport that goes. Okay, made my point. Fuck it. Let's move on. Macron says a tanker of France is linked to Russia's shadow fleet. This is yesterday, right? It's linked. All right, he said so. But this guy says today that could be right there. You see here? Right there. Has confirmed that French authorities detained two is considered part of it. All right, they did it. When is this? All right, what time? This is again October 7, and we have here is currently under investigation. Is considered, could be suspected. Nevertheless, they already know, man. They already know. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do with it? If the Russians react, they would prove that there is a shadow fleet. But if there's Russian oil or whatever is on it, that's my property. What are you doing? And if you do that, the Russians should invent something of the same kind to the Western ships. Like, I don't know, the ships of Boo-Boo. And that's it. And the ships of Boo-Boo are bad. And whenever we see one over there, we're going to go and board it with Navy personnel, with naval personnel. Okay, that's how we're gonna do it. And then we go over there and you're gonna be A-OK. Because you ask us to be A-OK, because you consider that a shadow fleet, we consider that Boo-Boo fleet. Got it? These guys are provoking. Now, all right, now let's see how the Americans are joining the fray. Because the point is, in all this, stopping the Russians operating in the Baltic Sea. New post of Ukraine. U.S. Navy joins NATO Baltic Sea Patrol mission. All right, you don't see the countries in the Baltics patrolling California Bay, do you? And why is that? USA's Baltic Navy-guided missile destroyer, it's a destroyer, missile-guided, began patrolling the Baltic Sea as part of NATO's Operation Baltic Sentry, protecting undersea infrastructure from Russian sabotage. The only ones that sabotage so far were of the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines. We don't know. It was the Ukrainians with that crew 6+1, the divers, holy diver. Remember Dio's song? Yeah. You're the son of the masquerade, holy diver. That's what it is. There were some holy divers over there from Ukraine. God fucking damn it. So, where is that located? Again, we go to the Baboon area of Baltic Sea. This is where these guys are trying to actually strangle Kaliningrad. That's the goal, right here, Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is a Russian enclave, why we want to call it, territory given by the Germans, given because they couldn't hold it. They gave Kaliningrad and these guys got independence between Poland and Lithuania and St. Petersburg. So St. Petersburg, if it doesn't have naval traffic or Kaliningrad right here, they're kind of like dead because you can use air, but mostly it's tankers coming from all over the world. So that means they're going to destroy St. Petersburg and they're going to destroy Kaliningrad right here. Kaliningrad, between Kaliningrad and Belarus, it is 60 kilometers, I think, between here and here. And it's between Poland and Lithuania. Maybe the Russians should create a Gdansk corridor here. You remember the Gdansk corridor before the Second World War? Maybe the Russians should negotiate with the Poles again about, like the Nazis negotiate about the Gdansk corridor. And maybe we have World War III and all those guys will celebrate how the Europeans screw themselves again and they come and then reconstruct with their money and take control over us again. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth and be just.